Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Royal with Paternity University. Thank you so much for tuning in as usual, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. So, I want to get into is it better to have an office, virtual only, or a hybrid mode for your paternity testing, for your setup? All right. So, each one has its pros and cons. All right. I'm going to go into the pros of having a virtual office, right? Like a way that you would set up. So with a virtual office, you would essentially set up a Google Business page. You'd have it, linked to probably a virtual office that you may have at a co-working space or something of that nature, right? To where that co-working space also knows that you're there as well, to make sure that it's legitimate. And then it's just essentially for your business, it's just people calling that Google business location. And if you want to operate it, like if you have a full-time job where you can pretty much almost never do your own paternity testing, you would find another paternity testing collector or, somebody that's a phlebotomist locally in your area, and you would outsource all your paternity testing to them. Now, I go into that in the course. So all that details in the course. I'm not going to go into that specifically, on the YouTube, but that, the pro of that is low overhead. Okay. So, cause you're not paying for a physical space. You only have to pay the collector when they do your test for you. So low overhead. All right. The con of that is, you have no control over what that collector is doing. Okay. So the collector could be bad. The collector could just decide to shut down one day forever and you have nobody to do your testing for you. The collector could make multiple mistakes. It's that quality assurance aspect of it that you have no control over if you are fully virtual and you have a collector do all your stuff for you all the time. All right. So consider that. Hybrid. Okay. Or actually, I'm going to go into office. Okay. Office. Okay. Office makes sense. All right. You set up an office. All right. So you have an office. Now, you don't have to get a 1,200, 1,500 square foot office. All right. You can rent a little space in a co-working space for $500-600 a month or something like that on a lease. Okay. Office. Physical presence. People seem to like places that if you're there, you're there. They enjoy being able to say, I went to this office and got this taken care of, and there was a person there. All right. Office, that's the pro of that. You have a physical location. When you market to attorneys, when you market out, you could say, hey, I have a physical location that your clients can come to. They like that better. They like that. That's cool. The cons of an office is price in a sense, right? So if you're not really making enough money either from DNA testing or for any other thing that you do, if you do it for notary, fingerprinting, if you're not making enough money to justify the fact that you have an office, well, it's not gonna help. You have that overhead and you can't pay for it. Well, you might have to close down your business or close down your office or break your lease, and that's more costly in the long run, right? So you have to really think about that. Like, are you really ready for an office? But at the same time, an office can also make you want to make more money so that you can continue to pay for that space. It's a mental thing in a sense, right? It's a mental thing. So those are kind of the pros and cons of an office. And do you have to have one to start? No, I did not have an office when I started. You know what I mean? All I had was a flip phone and a Google business location. I technically started out of a hotel room when I first started. So, and now I have an office. Okay. So I've gone through it all. Hybrid. Okay. Hybrid. With a hybrid, it is a space that you have the ability to rent on demand. So Regis or some co-working spaces, sometimes you can rent an office space for about an hour or for a certain amount of time. And prepaid or whatever, and you have that space so that if you do have a client and you actually can do the paternity test yourself, you can go to that office location that you rent for an hour for like $20-30 or something like that, and you take care of that test, and your client thinks you have an office, and there you go. All right. That is kind of like the hybrid option because it's still relatively minimal overhead, but you also don't have that full-time office that people can go to all the time. All right. The one of the sort of kind of almost one of the cons of an office sometimes is if you're not there, most people who get into this business still have full-time jobs, right? So you might not be there at the office. People might just pull up in your office and just knock at your door and think that you're there and you're not. You know what I mean? So that's why you have to say it's by appointments only or something like that. But if you also have an office and you are also there all the time because you're also doing other stuff, you do fingerprinting, you do notary, you do consulting, you do something else, and you're getting DNA clients, is also helpful because sometimes people call and they're like, I want to get a DNA test right now. Are you there? Can you be there in 20 minutes? Or I can be there in 20 minutes, and they'll just pop up, and that helps too. That helps with your sales. So, like I said, do you have to have an office to start? No. Does it help to eventually get one? I would say yes, but you don't have to have one to start. Start where you at. Start what you got right now. Like I said, I started with a flip phone. I didn't even have an iPhone. I started with a flip phone with T-Mobile that I was paying $40 a month for. All right. Start with what you got now and build up to the point. All right. You don't have to get all super glamorous and fancy and all that stuff to start, because you have to justify the cost with the amount of paternity tests or whatever other test that you're doing, whatever else that you're doing in your industry. You have to justify it and pay for it. All right. And that overhead is going to add up. All right. So that's what I got. I finally made a video on this stuff because people ask me this stuff all the time. I want to be able to answer it and let you guys know. All right. Thank y'all so much. As usual, go to paternityuniversity.com. I got, students signing up for the direct coaching, which is awesome. You get that direct coaching straight from me, my phone number, all that good stuff, everything. But I like to pick who is doing that. I don't like to just have that for anybody. Self-paced course, ebook, all that good stuff. All right, we're still moving. I didn't quit paternity. All right, we're still moving forward. All right, thank y'all so much. Until next time.